Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this is a game from Speed Chess Championship 2023, and this is a game played between Hikaru Nakamura and Yangyi. You're in for a treat because this game has it all. This game has trolling, this game has initial blunders, and this game also has Hikaru's Immortal Zugzwang game. I'm not going to keep you waiting, so without further ado, let's start with this game. Yangyi is with the white pieces, and he starts with e4. We have a5 by Hikaru, going for that trolling approach, and we have d4 and just c6, and we have knight to f3 but just immediate strike in the center with d5, and obviously a trade in the center. E captures, c captures. Here Yangyi could have gone for immediate advantage right from the opening by going for this knight to c3, and after knight to c6 you'll play this bishop to f4, and after bishop to f5 you'll go for this bishop to b5, just spinning that knight very nicely. And now you know that knight to e5 is definitely coming, but after knight to f6 you'll first get your king to safety by castling, and after rook to c8 you'll now go for this knight to e5, and now there's a lot of pressure against that knight, so you have to bring that bishop back. So after bishop to d7, just trade that bishop, so knight captures, queen captures, and this pin still remains. Because of this a5 move you cannot play a6, so there's no way to push that bishop back. Instead Yangyi doesn't go for it. Instead he went for this c4, but now just knight to f6 and the game goes on. We have knight to c3 and just e6, but just this bishop to g5, and we have bishop to e7 but just c5, going for that advanced variation, and Hikaru challenges that immediately that advanced pawn by b6, and now we have bishop to b5 check but just bishop to d7 blocking. And now obviously lots of trade. We first have bishop caps on f6, and instead of capturing the right way, Hikaru just opens up the g file and goes for an immediate attack. We have g caps on f6, and we have bishop caps on d7 with the check, and knight captures and just c6, just attacking that knight. And we have knight to b8 but just queen to a4. We have knight to a6, we have castles by white, and we have knight to c7 but just knight to b5, and obviously a trade of knight captures, queen captures, and here c7 does not work because you just block with the queen and there's no follow. So here just bishop to d6 was played, and we have rook to c1 but just bishop to c7, and now we have a4, and Hikaru starts his attack on the king side by going for this h5, and now we have rook to c3 but just h4, and we have rook to e1 but just this queen to d6, and now we have h3 preventing h3 by black, and we have king to e7 just connecting rooks. Now this rook is definitely coming to the g file, and Hikaru is going to definitely get those rooks doubled up on the g file and start an immediate attack. And we have king to f1. Yangyi starts to run away with the king, but it's not going to help that much. Just rook to g8 nonetheless, and we have rook to e3 but just rook to g6, and after queen to a6 we have queen to f4 but just rook to d3, and we have rook to g8. Now all the things for the attack are set up. So Yangyi defends with this knight to e1, just defending that g2 pawn, and now we have queen to d6 but just queen to b5. Now we have f5, king to e2 and just f4, attacking that rook, and the rook does not have that many squares, so here just only one move. We have rook to f3 but just this f6. Now those central pawns are definitely looking scary, but we have king to d1, and now we have rook to d8. We have king to c2 and just e5, and there was only one move in this position that could have saved Yangyi's game. So pause the video and try to find the move that could have saved the game for Yangyi while I give you a couple of seconds. So congratulations on anyone who's able to find this move, and the move is actually rook to b3. Yes, not really caring that much about the e4 thrust, because even if you go for queen to e6, which is the best move, you play this rook f to d3, and now if e4 comes attacking the rook, now you play this rook b to c3, and after rook to a8 you play this king to b1, and after e3 you cannot push that e3 pawn and continue pushing your pawns forward, because instead of capturing with the f pawn you'll play this rook sacrifice with rook captures. And now you see the problem, because now after f captures you capture with the rook, and now the queen is under attack and you're going to have to sacrifice the bishop to save your queen. So instead of pushing it right away, first you play this f5, just waiting your turn to push those pawns. So after rook to c1 you'll play this king to f6, and after rook to c2 you'll play this. White pieces are definitely all boxed in together and you don't have much moves, so after rook to c1 you'll play this king to f6, and after rook to c2 you'll mostly see this king to g5. Black is definitely going to hide his king on the king side and maybe push those pawns to victory if the end game comes. And after rook b to c3 you'll play this rook to d8, and after queen to e2 you'll play this queen to f6, and after rook to c1 you'll play this king to h6, and now you can see that the queen doesn't have that many squares, and it's nearly impossible to push these pawns, and the knight is stranded, but the rooks are at least on some better squares. So not that much to hope for, but at least it would have been a decent position to play. Instead Yangyi in this position went for this rook to d2, disconnecting the rooks, but now comes trouble because Hikaru immediately jumps in with the attack and he goes for this e4, attacking the rook, and now rook to c3 but just f5. And after f3 you cannot push that pawn because the rook blocks and you have no game. So here rook to e6 was played, but this rook to e2, And after queen to b4, we have rook to d2, but just rook d to d6. And if you trade queens, you're basically just lost. So king to d1 was played, but just rook to g6. And after knight to c2, we have this queen caps on b5, a captures, and just rook to d8. And after knight to e1, here there are many moves that wins the game for Hikaru, but there's only one move which immediately puts Yangyi in a Zugzwang. So pause the video and try to find that move which wins the game on the spot for Hikaru while I give you a couple of seconds. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is actually rook to e8. Yes, that's right, just advancing that a pawn forward, and even if you go for this b3, not allowing to push those pawns, but now comes the bishop with bishop to d6, and now that bishop is definitely going to jump on that b4 square, so rook to c to c2, but we'll play this rook to g8, just attacking that backward g2 pawn, and after rook to f2 you'll play this rook to g3, and after rook c to e2 you'll play this king to d6, and after king to c2 you'll play this king to c7. And now you can see that the rooks does not have many moves. This rook has only one move. Knight cannot move anywhere. You have to defend that g2 pawn. All of the pieces are boxed in, and you barely have any moves in this position. So here just rook to f1, but you'll get this rook to a8, just bring that pawn forward and maybe getting the rook to a5 and attacking the b5 pawn. So king to b2, but just e4, and now you cannot allow the rook to come in the attack with a tempo. So here you play this b4, but just bishop captures, and after f captures you play this rook captures on e1, and after rook captures you have to be very much careful in this position. Position is very much volatile. You cannot go for this rook captures on g2 check first. If you go for this, the game is actually a draw, because if you go for this king to a1 you get this f caps on e4, and after rook captures you play this rook to a5, but now comes this rook to f7 check, and if you go back then that's the correct way to play it. But if you are persistent on moving forward, then comes rook to f1, and now the mate is being threatened and you have to be extremely careful. You have to move the rook to a passive square, then the rook comes to the b7 square and gobbles up this pawn and pushes this pawn to victory. So instead what you want to play in this position is you have to go for this rook to a5, just going up for that b5 pawn, and there's nothing that white can do, so you may as well grab some material. So we'll have this e captures, but this rook caps on b5 in the check, and after king to a2 you'll play this rook caps on g2 in the check, and after king to a1 you'll play this rook caps on d5, and after rook caps on f4 rook to d2, and we'll rook caps on h4 you play this rook caps on d4. And now if you trade rooks, the endgame is completely winning for black, so there's pretty much nothing that Yangyi could have done to prevent this. But okay, the position is still completely winning for Hikaru, but Hikaru tries it another way. He goes for rook to g8, just doubling up rooks on the g file, just pressuring that g2 pawn, and here rook to e2 was played, but we have this bishop to d6, and after rook to c2 we have king to d8, and after rook to d2 we have this bishop to b4, just going for that rook. You have to move that rook out of the way, so rook to c2 versus king to c7, and after king to c1 just e4, pushing that pawn forward, and Yangyi can do nothing but wait in this position. His pieces are just so backward. Only just one move with bishop captures and rook captures, and just rook captures can completely win the endgame. So here Yangyi tries a few more moves. He goes for king to d1, but just rook to e8, and after rook to f2 we have bishop to d6, but just king to e2, and here rook to a5 was played, going after that b5 pawn. It was on this move, on move 48, that Yangyi resigned the game, and Hikaru won his spectacular Immortal Zugzwang game. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming up with another amazing game. Just stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys